Hello, welcome to Mary Hall's channel. My name is Dale DuFay. I'm going to narrate this extraordinary video for her. This is the I.S.S. live feed, and this is facing the Earth going into the Terminator into nighttime. Because the space station travels in excess of 16,500 miles an hour with the rotation of the Earth, going from west to east. So anything on the Earth will appear to go from right to left. But the important thing to realize is it's always facing towards Earth, this particular camera, and this object is always there. This is part of the space station. We can clearly see it now because it's capturing the sun, because this space station is 265 miles from the surface of the Earth and still capturing the sun, even though the surface of the Earth is receiving no sun right now at all. It's going into the Terminator at night, heading east, and again, this is important to realize that this is always there whether you see it or not. There's times during this video where you don't see this at all, but it's always there, which proves that this camera didn't change. This is important to keep this in mind as this video goes on. It's just like a 17-minute video, but I can condense it a little bit here. And we can, I wanted to show this part to show that this is always there whether you see it or not. Now we'll go on, and here you can clearly see it, and you start seeing all these speckles all over the place. That's the camera, and they even go all over this object, or this part of the space station, which again is always there. It's always, whether it's in view or not, it's always there, but it completely disappears as the darkness, as the sun stops reaching the space station. See there, it totally disappears. You don't even know it's there. But it's there. It's invisible right now, but it's there. And it's important to keep that in mind as this video goes on. You'll see what I'm talking about. But that's important because it's showing that the camera is always facing the Earth, regardless of, it can't, the only thing they can do is focus in or out, zoom in or pan out. They can't turn it that much at all. We've never seen them do it, and if they did, it would just be pointing towards the space station. They'd have to actually turn the space station to change the view, or switch cameras. They got multiple cameras, and this camera view does not change. Mary checks it at the end. It's very important to keep that in mind, that this is always facing the Earth, because there's an extraordinary object that appears that it actually captures the attention of the astronauts. So let me zoom ahead here. Still showing. This is typical. It always looks like this on the dark side. Sometimes you'll see lightning from storms or stuff on Earth, and they'll go from right to left. And sometimes you'll see lights from city lights and things like that. Anything stationary on the Earth that's lit up will go from right to left. But with all that in mind, see, this is typical. This is very typical of how it looks. Now watch what see. No, let me back up a little bit and let it go normal speed. Now keep in mind that that object is still there. The part of the space station is still there. Always will be, because the camera's not changing or moving. Watch this thing appear out from behind that. So this object here is between the camera and the surface of the Earth. So this, whatever this is, which again catches the astronauts' attention, because I'm sure they were supposed to take the live feed off now, because it does capture their attention, and I think they're more intent on focusing in on this than they are of stopping the live feed, because this is an extraordinary capture. We don't know what this thing is. Wait till you see it when they zoom in. But keep in mind, this is still facing the Earth, still the same camera. So this is a very large object that's going at relative speed with the space station in its orbit, and relative orbit as well. But as you can see, it's veering downwards. So this thing is going in excess of 16,500 miles an hour, 17,000 even miles per hour, relative with the space station, and also going down. See, here's where they focus in. They didn't change cameras. Mary proves that by looking up over here in the, to check in. See how they're zooming in on it now? This thing really caught their attention. Now, what does that look like to you? It looks just like the moon, doesn't it? And I'll show you why it can't be. For two reasons. First of all, again, this camera didn't change. This is the same live feed. See how the camera's trying to pick up the light on it? Look at the extraordinary features on this. It looks very similar to our moon, but it couldn't be because there's big bumps on it, big bumps like mountains. It's incredible. And again, it caught the attention of the astronauts. They didn't switch the camera. It's still the same camera. You don't see the spots and things anymore because they zoomed in, and they're going to pan out on this thing too so it doesn't lose the frame. So this is between the space station and the Earth. This orbit is lower than the space station and going just as fast. And it looks just like a moon, and it's eclipsed just like our moon is. But I'll show you on Mr. MBB333's channel, on his website. He has a moon phase in there. Our moon phase isn't anywhere near like this one. See how they pan out so they keep it in the frame? This thing really caught their attention. Then they didn't switch cameras. Mary proves that by prudently looking up at the reference up here in the upper left corner to see if it's the same camera, which it is. And this object part of the space station is still here. We can't see it right now because the light's not catching it, but the light is certainly catching this thing. See, the HD camera HD, it's the same one pointing towards the Earth. They didn't switch cameras. This thing is between the space station and the Earth, my friends. And she also checks it at the end and switches it to the other camera, which shows nothing but static. So they didn't switch cameras. This is the one facing towards the Earth. This is a phenomenal object, which see, it's hardly moving downwards now at all. Oh, that's, yeah, it's still playing. That's incredible. So they still have this, panned out, and this thing is huge. I mean, what is this thing? See how it's still starting to move down now more? It actually goes completely out of the frame to where they can't, zoom. It proves that they can't move the camera to keep track of this thing. I'm sure otherwise they would have, but it goes completely out of the frame. So this is a stationary camera that cannot move, and it's the HD one, the live one, that's always facing the Earth. Mary will check that again at the end. See how it's almost completely out of view. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit so we can look over at Michael's website. Here, speeding it up here to where it goes completely out of view. See that? So they couldn't, move the camera to follow it because it obviously caught their attention. And believe me, I know they were, no doubt, totally forgot to cut the live feed because we were not supposed to see this thing. See how she checks it again right here? At the 17-minute, 24-second mark. She checks it again, and it's the same HD camera. And then she goes down to this other camera and checks that. Watch this. See, she checks, that's this camera, the live one that's pointing out away from Earth, sort of at the horizon. But you can see there's nothing but static there. So that was very important to realize that this is the one that faces the Earth, that was on that one the whole time, that this thing was captured. Now first, before we go to Michael's website, let's zoom in on this thing. Look at the features on this. I have to admit, some of it looks like our moon, undoubtedly. But look at that feature there, and this one here, this huge crater. It's just something different about it. And again, how could our moon, or even a reflection of it, or whatever, be between the space station and have a lower orbit than it does? Because this is between the camera and the Earth. See how I have to bring this up to keep it in view. That's how fast this thing's moving downwards, on top of going relative to the speed of the space station. So, this is, see how they have to, this is where they pan out. So I'll pan out again. Let's go over to Michael's website. Let's pause this first. I mean, this is crazy. Again, this one they have it out of focus. But let's look at Michael's channel here. This is his website. This is a really good website. I like to look at this for many reasons, Schumann resonance and whatnot. But here's the moon phase. Check it out. All right, that's today's moon phase, my friends. It's a waning gibbous, and its illumination is 70%, and it's today, November 25th. So that's, with that in mind. And here again, this area looks like what we're seeing, but it doesn't have the other features, the huge high ridges or mountains. So it is slightly different. Plus, the waning is different, entirely different, and we don't even know if it's waning or waxing. Really, that particular whatever's seeing. And then remember, the illumination on that is less than, right around 50%, and our moon today is 70%. So let's go back to this remarkable video. I mean, this thing, like, totally is freaky, really. Mary was like in shock when she saw this. She was actually watching it live when it happened, and thank God it was the recording. But that didn't have the map up there, so the Google map, which shows the predicted orbit. But we believe it was going into the Terminator into night in the central Canada, and maybe the mountain time zone. But look at this thing again. I'll zoom in. Here's admittedly, some of this looks like the Earth. Isn't this crazy how fast it's going? But look at this huge mountain right here, and these three mountains here, and this huge crater. It's not similar to the. It's similar to the moon, but it's not exact. Plus, and the waning is different. And the fact that this is between the camera and the Earth. So this is just really an incredible find. Let Mary know what you think. Be sure to share this. Maybe we'll see this on Michael's channel, because she sends a lot of her stuff to Michael, and he would be definitely interested in this. And I know this would interest the Planet X community. I mean, what is this? One of the moons of Nibiru? Think about it. Or Planet X? This is crazy. What is this thing? And it's super high speed too, and very, very large. So let her know what you think, and we thank you for watching, and we'll talk at you later.